Somebody needs to mute their buzzer. All right, welcome back to the live stream. This is Sunday the 24th. Somebody needs to mute their buzzer. Oh, and I need to mute my... All right, welcome back to the live stream. This is Sunday the 24th. Somebody needs to mute their buzzer. Oh, and I need to mute my... All right, welcome back to the live stream. This is Sunday the 24th. There we go. Sorry, that was another window. That is what happens when you do not have your player muted and you're on a live stream. You just end up with an endless loop.
Amateur.
All right. Well, no, like, well, anyway, everybody, welcome to the live stream. It is Sunday, the 24th of March, and I'm NOVAtazz. This week we have One Low Blazer. We have Kip from American Bumper to Bumper, and this week we are trying to get him up above, what did you just want to say, 80 subs? You think that's about fair?
80 would be amazing.
You're at what, 60 now, right?
No, I'm just over 300.
Oh. Well, I screwed that up. Okay, well, we don't want you back down to 80.
No.
A few subs. Okay, we want to get you up about, you know, I want to say about 15, 20 subs tonight would be nice.
That would be perfect.
We'll see what we can do. Where was I at? Anyway, now that I'm completely derailed. All right, so we have
nothing new for this show.
What'd you say?
I said nothing new for this show.
I know, right? Well, that's the whole point. This show is nothing but a freaking, you know, train wreck waiting to happen. Anyway, and I'm all freaking out of sorts because you know, we had a family night, so we got here late, and I'm sitting here and running crazy. Hey, we got Rust Belt Mechanic in here. That's whoa. Welcome, Rust Belt, and we got Pete from Camaro Time, definitely a channel that I watch. Gonna have to pick me up one of those, what do they call the toolbox? I think is Rust Belt's loot crate. You check him out on his channel. No, we don't do the whole sub for sub thing there, buddy. Doesn't mean that I won't check out your channel if you, but it doesn't mean that I'm guaranteed to sub for anybody. Well, welcome aboard, Rust Belt. Forget your actual name. I've just started watching your channel, so I'm still getting to know people, and I'm horrible with names to begin with. Kip, how long did it take me to remember yours? What, like 2 months?
Oh, yeah, and I'm just as bad.
All right, Rust Belt is Kyle, so I'm just going to have to keep remembering Kyle. And I found him through Jason, which should be joining us here shortly. I think he said he was joining, right?
I think he said he was going to be in chat anyways, if not on screen.
Yeah, he said he'd be in chat this week.
Okay, well, that's just perfectly fine. Between Jason and Grant from Straight Six Fan, which, geez, we need to get Grant up above 1,000 because Jason's definitely there. He's almost hitting 1,100 already. Let's see, what was I trying to do? I'm all lost this week. Yeah, don't ever start a live stream and like be rushing around. Give yourself plenty of time to start before you go. Anyway, I know he's Grant is close. Grant, I have a nice app on my phone that lets me know everybody that I'm following. So if I pull his up, Grant right now is at, if you guys can see that, he is at 958.
So close, and I think he's already hit his 4,000 hours of view time.
Yep. Yeah, and the thing is it's not actually that hard to hit that once you get there. Like I'm at 13,000 watch hours, watch minutes, watch hours, 13,000 watch hours, and I sit there pretty much consistently, a little bit high, a little bit low sometimes. But and the thing is what people don't understand is yeah, once you hit that 4,000 watch hours, that's great. But the thing is, you have to keep that up all year round, because every day, 1 year ago, that day drops off and your day picks up. So if at any given time, that floating year, you drop below 4,000 watch hours, you're right back to square one, and you have to, once you get back up above that 4,000 watch hours again, you have to reapply.
Gotta love YouTube.
Well, I mean, the thing is I understand what they're doing. They're sitting here trying to make sure that the people that they're that they're working with are continuing to thrive. Obviously they're not going to keep they're not going to keep putting effort into dead channels. If it's not a consistent channel and it's not getting consistent current views, then obviously they're going to drop it. I mean, it only makes sense in a business standpoint. Before they were putting a lot of time and effort watching channel, like, you got to think about it. Before they came up with this 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours, all I think you needed was, I don't even remember, because it was so freaking long ago that I hit it.
It was 10,000 views, because I just hit 10,000 views when they changed it all.
Right, but so you have 10,000 views. Well, that means everybody that hit that 10,000 views was now YouTube had to manage. So you had channels that had 10,000 views that haven't posted in 2 years. You know what I mean? So you have YouTube now having to still watch that channel and manage that channel, and yet it's not an active channel. So basically what this did is it limited the number of channels that weren't necessarily actually striving to be monetizable channels, and shrunk that field to where it's a more manageable amount of channels to watch. I mean, there's still how many millions of channels out there, so couldn't you imagine all of the channels that were pointless to sit there and manage, that we're just sitting there eating up space.
Oh yeah, it definitely makes sense, but it just ticked me off when I was right there.
Well, the thing is when that hit, I only had like 300 subs, and me being a how-to channels don't necessarily rack up a lot of subs. They rack up a lot of watch time and views, but they don't rack up a lot of subs, because people will click on the video, watch the video for what they need it for, and then leave. They don't stick around for the sub, because they only may have one video that they need to watch. So that we rack up a bunch of freaking, watch time and views and probably likes and all of that stuff, but you don't necessarily rack up a lot of subs. So it really nailed me in the ass. I had the watch hours from day one. Like, I have 13,000. So I have way more than what is needed. But my sub count was down like freaking 250, 300 subs when that hit. I'm lucky that I got a crap ton of subs. I had a lot of reach out there for help. Though I think some of them channels weren't necessarily, because I lost 500 in the beginning of the year this year. That's why I'm back down around 12. I did hit 15. All right, I'm just gonna go through here. We got Will Singer, who was here last week. He's here for the RAM videos, which, William, I'd like to tell you there will be another RAM video shortly. I had just ordered parts online for it. Classic Ride Society is in here. Hey, man, I had no problem listening while working on the wagon, man. Glad that you're in here giving an ear. Obviously, we have Kip. Kip is on chat and in the on the live stream. We have Pete, and we have Kyle from Rust Belt Mechanic. And we can't forget Steve from Hammer Down Motorsports. This is 410 Auto Tech. I think he was in Jason's last live, I do believe. And I believe I am subbed to him. I haven't gotten a chance to watch his videos yet. That he is on my to watch list. Hopefully, maybe Mach 1 will join us this week. I was just talking to him earlier. He was actually in my Instagram post from last week for the for my St. Patty's Day. So what do we? What is our beverage of choice tonight? We'll start with you, Chris.
Well, I'm still eating dinner, so Mountain Dew Baja Blast because I'm eating Taco Bell, and then my typical Southern apple pie stuff.
Apple pie spring water, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Kip? What are you drinking?
Well, earlier it was Jameson and Coke, but I'm on water right now.
Hey, you know what? Whatever quenches your thirst.
Yep.
I do not have a Guinness this week, so we are doing the Yingling this week. Trying to save the. There we go. We'll put that up there. We are trying to save the Guinness to spread it out because that's an expensive case of beer.
I wish they did Yangling up this direction. I've had a couple of them, and man, that is a good beer.
Where are you at?
In Rutland, Vermont, which is kind of central, the start part of the
I
state.
know that they sell it. I know that if you ask your local your local beer store, they might pick it up because I know that they ship Yingling all the way across the country. So he may not have picked it up. I mean,
I actually got it in Florida when I was down there. I was like, yes.
Let's see. What do we? Oh wow. The thing is Pete. He said he made a video exactly 10 minutes long, kept it private, watched it from 10 different phones and computers. Friends that had accounts watched the whole video 10 minutes. YouTube said it had 4 minutes and 36 seconds. But the problem is what happens is every time it's been clicked and gets clicked off, that also averages into that number. So I mean, it's not, and sometimes it takes a couple days for all of that to level out as well. And I would also watch. Oh, he said he kept it private, but the thing is also, like I said, it does imagine just clicks count too. Clicks count as 0 watch minutes, but a view, which will drop your average. So I mean, even if you click on it and or refresh the page, sometimes that happens. Well, you never, I don't know what to say. I mean, I can't speak for YouTube. I'm not sitting here saying, I'm a YouTube fanboy or whatever, but this is how I make my extra cash to help fund my hobby. So we got to play within the rules, and whether the rules are fair or not is, up to the umpire.
Yeah.
I was, by the way, Chris, the Baja Blast, I was working at a Taco Bell when that came out. I love it. I remember all of the promotional stuff that I had to put up, everything. So
yeah, it's actually they sell it in the stores like limited time. Right now is the time. Like there's a season for it.
So you buy a bunch of cases and store them down in the basement.
Yep, you can get 20 ounces and like the 12-ounce 6-packs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would do the cans. The cans will last longer. Cans have a longer shelf life. Let's see. I know that I saw Steve. Steve is drinking a Miller Lite. Steve, I still owe you. Next time I see you, I'll bring you a can or two of Guinness. Because, I got to celebrate my win against your Rio somehow. Stuck on water and oh, that sucks, Kyle. Womp, womp, womp is right. We got Jason in the chat, and he won the not so I wouldn't say not fair because you definitely were the underdog and you came through. Let's see, how would I say that? That not so super competitive race to 1,000 subs. Let's see, Andy Olson. Damn, that, you know what? Finding Luminas and Berettas are really hard. If you're following the chat, they're talking about Berettas and Luminas. I see. I worry that YouTube can purge your channel. I've seen it happen to you. But the thing is what they're purging channels that aren't helping your channel anyway. Like those 500 subs probably were not watching my videos anyway, considering I don't get 500 views on a lot of my day-to-day, well, not day-to-day, but my update vlogs. They weren't watching them anyway. So yeah, they were subs. And yeah, they counted towards my 1,000, which I'm glad that they did the purge after I hit above 1,500. But they weren't necessarily helping my channel anyway. They were dead subs, which means they were basically just, I don't know, like a bunch of mannequins standing in a corner. You know, they make the room look crowded, but they're not doing any good.
Yeah, if you don't have subs that aren't, watching, then what's the point of having them there? That's why
when you have under 1,000, well, when you have just about a 1,000 subs, yeah, they help you get there, but it's just a fake number at that point. Did I buy subs? Did I sub for sub? No, I didn't. What I did is when all of that stuff happened and we were all pushing to get to 1,000 subs, all of us that were already monetized, already been there, and we're like, oh shit, now we got another hurdle we have to climb over. I hit up all of the Facebook pages and different things of the car groups that I belong to for my car. So like the Trans Am pages, the Nova pages, all of that stuff. I hit them up and friends and family. And it's like, hey, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs so I can continue doing what I do. Come check out my channel. And that's what I did. I just, and I kept at it for like weeks, every day posting and making sure that my name was out there and was visible. And, and that's how I ended up doing it, but, obviously some of them are dead channels. So I'm probably pretty sure the 1,000 subs, 1,200 subs I have now, obviously YouTube hasn't purged them, so they should be good. What was junk? What was your favorite beer? Small craft beer called 506. That's the area code of NB. What's NB?
New Brunswick.
New Brunswick. Okay, yeah, it's a Canadian beer then. Two-door Lumina is getting pretty rare now. Okay, that's what
any Lumina is getting really rare right now, not just a two-door.
Right.
Yeah, I actually looked up for the hell of it. My first car I ever drove was a 1992 Dodge Daytona ES, which was like the rock version, but they called it Eurosport.
Okay,
there's a few around, but they're god ugly, and I loved that car back in the day.
My first car I ever drove, you're going to be completely surprised about this, but it was a 1977 Nova. I was in Votech, and it was a shop car. It was an inline six, same color as mine was when I bought it, which is gold. And that car ended up going to the scrapyard. But it is funny that the second car that I ever owned was a 77 Nova. My first was a 95 Ford Escort 4-door.
First car I ever drove would have been 84 Cavalier station wagon. And the first car I ever owned myself was an 84 Mercury Lynx, which was the same thing as the Escort.
Yeah. I like the early 90s, what are they, the Z24 Cavaliers?
Oh, yeah.
They had a so distinctive exhaust note, you could hear them from like 5 blocks away.
The way that they did the ground effects kit on that car went from looking like really just blah to it was really nice looking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that 2.8.
I am jealous of Andy. Actually, I think it's 80. Was 84 the same as the 85 and 86, or was it the older body style? Welcome to the chat, Ryan. And Mitzvahs Golem. I don't know if I probably completely butchered that name. 48 Chevy was his first car he drove. Wow. I'm gonna guess that was either he's getting up there in age, or it was probably a farm car. Because I know that when I grew up, when I was on the farm, when I was a kid, there was a bunch of older cars that they kept just for tooling around on the farm. Bootlegger Auto Guy. Who's Bootlegger Auto Guy? Sorry, I'm scrolling back to the chat. I'm ADDing tonight. If anybody noticed.
No, I know. I want to come take your other caps away.
I need my fidget cube. Right now, I have a fidget bottle cap.
I hear it tinging.
Let's see, buddy of mine with a Mint 94 Beretta Z series. That's basically the Z series. Was that also along the same line as the Cavalier Z24?
Yeah.
That was like a Z26 or something like that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because they had the Z24 in the Cavalier. I think it was Z26 in the Beretta, and then obviously Z28 in the Camaro.
Old car auto guys had a really sweet first, the 83 Dodge D100. The old square body Dodges were freaking nice looking.
Yes.
Yep.
So I wouldn't trade it for my second gen I have.
I would.
I love the way that the second gen Rams look.
Definitely iconic.
Alrighty. Oh, okay. Yep. Got to do the parent thing. He's putting his little one down for bed. I did that right before I got on. I'm lucky he went down right away. Otherwise, he'd still be trying to steal the show in the bedroom.
Does anybody remember the Beretta police cars?
Pontiac Ghoul.
No.
I think that's a Canadian car. I don't know if we had that down here in the United States.
I almost bought a Beretta police car when I was about 16 or 17.
What series was it the pace car for?
I want to say Indy.
Indy. Wow. So now that we got a couple people in here, if you guys have not checked out Kip's channel yet, are you mainly doing live streams now, or do you have other vlogs up?
I do the live streams over the winter when there's not a lot of other car content.
Pretty much what I'm doing. I've been doing.
Yep. But now that it's starting to get a little bit warmer, I've got car shows, autocross. I did some ice time trials over the winter, just for added content. But if it's cars, I'll do something with it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Jason. Oh shit! I'm definitely.
Told ya.
Jason clarified what the Ghoul was. It's the 600 LE, which I do know what a 600 LE is. A 6000 LE. Yeah, and if you haven't hit the thumbs up.
Smash that thumbs up button.
Yes, because I'm a mess. If you think that I'm a mess, tonight, hit that thumbs up button for me.
He's not even drunk.
No, I'm not. I'm actually completely freaking sober. I've had like 3 sips, and my belly's nice and full from Cracker Barrel. So yeah, definitely am not drunk. But we did actually do pretty well last week. Not so well in the thumbs up category. We had 15 thumbs up and 5 thumbs down, which isn't, but we had over 177 views last week, and we hit 1,600 watch minutes, which isn't that bad. It's the second highest stream that we've had. The highest being actually the first one we had, because that one's well over 2,000 watch minutes. Though we have more views on this one. So what do you guys all want to talk about tonight? So I'm going to leave it up in the chat room, and somebody come up with a topic, and we'll run away with it if we can. Anybody have any updates here in the channel, up in the stream here about things that are happening on your channels?
Not yet. I mean, waiting for some more warmer weather. I did some spring cleaning today, so chores are out of the way, so then I can do truck stuff.
Yeah, and we obviously don't need to prep the truck for the car show season because you've already been in one of the biggest car show seasons of the year.
Yeah. And then it got all salty on the way home, and I just stored it in the garage.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
The dreaded salt. I think I'm going to have a fix for that for my truck as soon as I get it to the point that it's running and everything. I was looking into Raptor liner.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking of doing Raptor liner all the way around from the body molding down. So like my truck's my truck is brown on the top with the silver on the bottom. I was thinking everywhere the silver is all the way around, inside, like under the whole underneath of the truck, and then up to that body line. I just haven't decided if I want to go black or if I want to match the silver and tint it to a silver color, because you can tint the Raptor liner different colors.
Yeah.
But I figured if I'm going to beat the snot out of this truck like I intend to, considering it is the off-road edition, and that's kind of partly what I bought it for, I definitely don't want to have to worry about it rotting out more than it already is. I already have to repair the bottom of the doors, and I'm lucky that's about all I have to repair. I think the bottom of both the front door and the little half door in the back, on both sides, there's some rot, and then I think only in one fender arch I have some bubbling going on. But I plan on putting fender flares on it, like Bushwhacker or something. It's just a name that came to my mind. Whatever I could find to put over that area anyway. But I'll Raptor liner underneath of where I put the flares, so I don't have to worry about it rotting from the backside. We do have Gary, Mr. Mach 1, has decided to join us. I caught you sneaking in here. But it's Kyle says that Raptor liner is awesome. He put his entire door max on in it. But yeah, I mean, the thing is if you have a truck and if you use it like a truck, you know, you're bound to get it in mud and other things, and mud's one of the worst things for trucks because it holds the moisture right up against the panels. And I definitely tend to bury this truck axle deep in some mud at some point.
Yeah, a truck's on my purchase list as soon as I have expendable cash.
One of the other things I think I'm going to try to do is one of the things I don't like about the Dodge trucks is to engage their front the front locker. They have vacuum lines that run from the transfer case up to the front rear, and there's an actuator on the driver's side, on the passenger side front axle. It actually is the way that the Dodges works is the outside is always connected at the hub, so it's like having lockers on it permanently. But the passenger side front outer wheel is not connected to the inner pumpkin unless the four-wheel drive is engaged. It has an actuator that slides a collar over to engage the outer axle.
That's the same thing that's happening in my Ford. It's constant vacuum and it has a leak, so it's allowing it to release, which is starting to grind my front hubs away.
Right, and well, mine that actuator actually rusted solid, so it wasn't engaging that passenger side front wheel at all. So I got to that's another part I got to replace on it. And my printer is deciding to start spitting out paper. my girlfriend's in school, so it's most likely schoolwork. It just happens to be sitting over here. But yeah, so I have to replace that. But one of the things I hated about my old one, I had it. Some of you guys haven't been here long enough, but I had a green F1, not F-150. I had a green 1500 Ram, and the vacuum lines literally broke, and I had to use some fish tank tubing with some silicone to patch them up because I can't find new ones online. Lucky the ones that I have on my truck. If you have been on my channel, a couple years back, my landlord's goat ate the underside of my truck, chewed up the O2 sensor wires and some vacuum lines and different things, and I had to go out and go replace all of that. But yeah, if for going off-roading, it doesn't make much sense to have that stuff as a brittle plastic vacuum line. Yeah. What I'd like to do is convert them over into hard metal lines and just have like a rubber line to bridge, so that way you have that, you know, the body movement. So I don't have to worry about that, because I think that would be a lot safer. Or the other thing that they tend to do is you can convert those vacuum actuators over to electronic actuators and just have them run on a switch. And then that bypasses the whole vacuum issue to begin with. Let's see what, I guess Pete took off on me while I was in there talking. Let's see here. I guess Pete's already gone. Hub seal on the Ford, is it the same thing?
I was told mine's IWE, whatever. I looked it up. It's a common problem for like the 2012s and like that era.
So, I mean, like mine's all mechanical except for that one part. I mean, it's literally is just a collar sleeve that slides over the spline. So you have your dry shaft coming from the transfer case down into the pumpkin, okay, and then for the driver's wheel, the hub is always connected, you know, to the spider gear, you know, through the axle and into the spider gear in the pumpkin. So that, I mean, that is always driving that front pumpkin and that outer wheel, and then the front drive shaft is always spinning free. It's just not engaged until you engage the transfer case. And then the inner axle to the passenger side is also free spinning with, you know, that whole front section. But so that way you don't have to worry about that wheel hop issue. The outer wheel on the passenger side, the axle is not connected. It's got that coupler in the middle that disconnects. And like I said, when you apply vacuum, it slides the coupler over, engages that outer axle. Now you have, with my truck, I have a limited slip in the rear. So you have your full lock in the front, you have the limited slip in the rear. So I basically have four wheel locking, you know, whatever. But like my green truck, it had a posi in the back, so it would one leg in the back, which I hated. The front would lock, but the back wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that the off-road truck comes with 4 11 gears and a limited slip in the rear, and obviously the full locker in the front. Yeah, well, I lived on a horse farm out here in the middle of PA, and I'll tell you what, it was great at first until my landlord didn't like the fact that I had an issue with his goat, and I was going to make him pay for damages. You can go back. I don't think I ever told that story. I know I didn't do it on my my YouTube channel. I have all the footage from it. I just never, because of the situation going on, I never did anything with it because we were trying to find a new place to live and not instigate the landlord anymore. But like he bought this little tiny, his wife bought this little goat, and they let it roam free everywhere. I mean, he ended up in our house a few times. This is when I was working on the transmission in the truck when I lived there, and so like I had, you know, wires hanging down and different stuff, and he ended up eating a bunch of stuff on the underside of the truck. He was all over the top of my Trans Am, inside of the gutted Nova that I had, that I have. He was inside there. I mean, it was just nightmare. I'm still collecting goat poop out of my gray Nova shell. It's got goat poop all in it.
Jason's got it right. Goats are evil.
I don't like them either. I have one photo on my Facebook from back when I lived there. The side of the barn had a raised up area where he would park his trailers and stuff. And then obviously the side of the barn that we were on, it was a big old, like 300-year-old horse barn. The side that we were on was down lower, and it had the stables underneath of it. So you had the main floor of the barn, which would face the road where you park the tractors and all that stuff. And then on the back side underneath was all of the stables. Well, the goat was up on the level with the tractors, and he was literally staring straight into our bedroom window and it's like a good 100 feet away. It wasn't like really super close. So I took a picture of the goat, and every image I zoomed in a little bit to where it was just the goat eyes. It was just creepy.
Yep.
But anyway, to go back to my story with the landlord. So this was right about the time that we were having our littlest. Jess was like 5, 6, 7 months pregnant. It was right before we had to rush to the hospital because she ended up having to give birth early. But I had to go out and find the vacuum lines, which I happened to find in the junkyard, but I couldn't find any O2 sensors in decent enough condition to be able to just throw on the truck to use. Because the ones that were on it, the lines literally looked like a freaking kindergartner's pencil. And so I ended up having to replace those, and they were like $45, $50 a pop. So I charged the landlord. I said, I couldn't replace these at a decent enough price. Your goat chewed them up. It's coming out of the rent. And I installed them, and we had Luca. And one of the days that because Luca was in the NICU for like 2.5 weeks. So I had came back to the house and was working on the truck a little bit. Me and my buddy Will fired up the truck, and it sounded like the truck had open headers. Well, this truck does have an exhaust on it, but it's not open headers. It's got a Flowmaster muffler on it. So it's a little loud, but it's not that loud. And looked underneath the truck here, the front O2 sensor is gone. The line wasn't snipped, it wasn't whatever, it was just completely unclipped and gone. And I know I torqued those suckers in. So it didn't just fall out on the ground underneath the truck somewhere. So I live it was literally out in the middle of nowhere. And I lived in the middle of this guy's horse farm. So like literally I'm completely surrounded by pasture for the guy's horses. And on the other side is his house. I have to go drive down the driveway between the house and the barn and to get to where the house was. And so who's going to come on this guy's property? Number one, to know that I just put a brand new O2 sensor in this truck, because most people don't want an O2 sensor that's been on a truck because it's just a rusted solid piece of mess. So of course, obviously landlord took it out and either returned it to get money back for it or whatever, whatever he did with it isn't matter anymore. Well, he caught wind that I was blaming him and freaked out, started calling me all kinds of names and different shit. Called me Reading City trash, put the dumpster that was up next to the barn right down in front of my front door, full of garbage right at my front door. All kinds of freaking shit. He was shooting guns off out of this back door, which is only like 150 feet from the front of my house. We just had a baby. So it was a nightmare. So we ended up moving quite quickly. That's how we ended up here in Tamaqua. But that was a scary time. And so, I'm not a fan of goats. Or landlords at this point. Let's see what besides goats are evil. We didn't even talk much in the chat. Did I kill the chat? I would agree. I do want some goat chops would sound good, except for I'd probably just feed them to the dog and not to me. If I was able to do that, I would have shot that goat. I hated him. Who steals O2 sensors? A pissed off landlord that acts like a 5-year-old. That's who steals O2 sensors. Guinness to the head. So back to anybody else have any crazy stories? You got any, Chris? Nothing really whacked has ever happened to you.
Not like that. No.
What about you,
Yeah,
Kip?
no, I can't say that I've got anything that bad either. I'm actually really lucky where I live now. Is my wife's son from her first marriage owns a house. He's stupid cheap rent. We don't pay it for anything else, so I'm very lucky.
This house is huge. We don't actually pay that much in rent, but it's out in the middle of freaking bumfuck nowhere. Chris probably knows where Tamaqua is, and it's smack. It's 30 minutes in any direction to go to a decent town.
Anything.
To get to Lehighton is about 30 minutes. To get up to Hazelton's only about 20 minutes away. And hometown
Hazelton now.
What?
I said there's not much going on in Hazelton.
Well,
now.
Hazelton is one of the best places to go to for actual stores, though. Not necessarily somewhere I'd want to go hang out.
Yeah, I mean the only time I go to Hazelton is go to Harry's up there, the biggest one around.
Well, yeah, there's that, but I'm like, up in Hazelton is where a lot of the big stores are. If I don't want to come all the way down to Reading, it's the next closest town, or Allentown, but Allentown's 45 minutes, 50 minutes away. Hazelton's 20 minutes away, and Reading's 45 minutes to an hour away as well. So that's why we go to Hazelton for different things, because it's a quicker area to get to a bunch of stores than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I live over the railroad tracks from a Walmart, so I don't have to go very far for much of anything.
All right. Where are we sitting at as far as people in here? We got 12 people in here.
Yeah.
If I'm correct.
Yep.
If you guys have not shared this stream out on your guys' social media yet, please do. That is how we're going to get a bunch of people in here to have some good conversation. The more people that know about the stream, the possible more people we have in here to chit chat with and to have a good time. And like I said, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. Do we know how much likes we have yet? See ya, Kyle. I'm sorry I missed your guys your live stream, but I was busy out and about.
I'm just up over 800 on Instagram as of this afternoon. Hopefully it stays up.
You're doing a lot better than me. I only have like 450.
Yeah.
Actually, the three thumbs down are actually probably my ex, to be honest. Because I had 3 thumbs down for the longest time before all that stuff went down with Steve's nickname for my old live stream partner.
What, salad bar?
Yeah, salad bar. I didn't say it. You just made me say it. I wasn't going to. What do we add as far as likes? Do we just have 3 dislikes, or how many likes do we have? I can't see any of that stuff where I'm at.
I can't either.
17 is what I see.
Wow, that's my highest so far in this series of live streams. The live streams I used to do, I had a lot higher, but not since I was down from doing live streams for a little while because I was helping other people. Jonathan's live stream on his channel, I was helping for a while until he stopped doing them, and then we ended up doing the ones on Greg's channel, and I did that for just about a year. And yeah, you see what I have to show for it. Thank you, Steve, for the letting me know. Every Sunday at 8. Yeah, it's normally right before mine. I do try to catch it when I'm setting up my own live stream, but I did miss it. So Kyle, Rust Belt Mechanic, has a live stream every Sunday at 8. We cannot forget Jason and Grant's live stream, and that's every Thursday at 8 to 8:30 my time. So that's Eastern time. Sometimes they run a little longer. We're trying to get Grant up to 1,000 subs. We're trying to get Kip here, a couple new subs here. That's America bumper to bumper. And let's see.
There's a lot of speculation in the chat as to where the thumbs down are coming from.
I'm telling you, they're all my ex. It's my ex has several YouTube channels that I've had to block on here. I can't block her from watching, and I can't block her from doing the thumbs up and thumbs down, but I can block her from being able to comment. YouTube doesn't let you actually block actual profiles. It should just make another one anyway as soon as I did. Oh. But
well, if you get a fourth, it's definitely the GOAT.
Yeah, we're bad talking that GOAT. I'm sure he's smashing that freaking dislike button because we're talking about mint jelly and goat chops. The GOAT, the ex, and the landlord. That's if the landlord knows how to freaking watch YouTube. Oh. So let's see. Get the GOAT on the stream. If the GOAT was on the stream, it would be a stream. It'd be a red stream of liquid running out of his neck. Oh wait, that's gonna get me demonetized.
Oh, there you go.
Well, this one's done.
Yeah, I guess I should check to see if it's demonetized already. That's one of the cool things about YouTube anymore is the fact of what you can do may actually not show up until after I end the stream. But yeah, last week was demonetized. As soon as I freaking got signed off, it was already said it was demonetized, which really sucked. All right, we need to change the subject unless we're talking about GTOs.
Yeah, I was just gonna say there's only one good GOAT, and it's a GTO.
So best option no longer offered. Best option no longer offered.
T-tops.
Yep, T-tops. Being a Trans Am fan, definitely T-tops.
Yeah.
Though I still know that Hammerdown's friend they're doing that the new IROC. But that's a full solid. That's like a whatever they call it, a glass top. It's not a removable top. So we have what, four votes for T-tops? Going once, going twice. Do I hear anything other than T-tops? No, I mean we do have something similar. The target tops that the Corvettes have. I mean literally all you're missing is the center brace in between the the rear hoop and the front windshield. I mean, they're about as close to a T-top as you're going to get now as those the hard top, target top Corvettes.
Very true. But I love the the 80s T-tops. They're great.
I was going to say the target top, like you must have to plan like you're taking that off and leave it home or whatever. Like I know I had a Monty FS that was an 88 with T-tops, and I could come out of work on a nice spring day, pop them T-tops off, put them in the trunk of the car, and go sailing.
Well, I do believe that the hard top on the Corvettes do fit in the Corvette trunk.
Okay. The trunks are really small, so I didn't know if it would fit or not.
Like I know that Mike's, all the ones that I saw Mike have, the C7s, the top literally fits in the trunk, and you still have some trunk left. For grocery things. Not that you should be using your Corvette to go get groceries, but you never know what somebody actually wants to do with it.
Yeah. I also agree with Hammerdown that they should bring back Pontiac and kill Buick.
Yeah, but from a business standpoint, I don't think any company that was producing cars is going to be around. I mean, like I said, they're killing off car lines left and right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the only car. I mean, geez, Ford. The only car Ford still makes is their Mustang, and that's only because they'd be stupid for them to kill the Mustang right now. It's their it was their highest selling car.
Is the 4-door Mustang actually going into production?
A what?
4-door Mustang.
I doubt it. I think it might just be a gimmick. I would be very surprised if there was a 4-door. Pony car, anything besides the Charger. And the Charger should never have been technically the Challenger and the Charger are one and the same freaking car. They're based on the same freaking platform. And if this would have been the 70s, it would have still been a Charger. They just would have named it Charger 2-door or Charger 4-door.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they did that with the Nova for how many years? You had the 4-door Nova, you had the 2-door Nova, both built on the same chassis, you know, and the Challenger and the Charger should have never been on the same chassis to begin with, because the Challenger was a full-size car, and the Challenger was the pony car.
Yep.
You know, it was a tiny car, and here it's just a big overweight pig.
Yeah.
I actually like the way the Pinto wagons looked. I mean, I know that they were bad for the fuel issue from getting rear-ended, but I like the way the Pintos look. Do you guys ever remember the Eagles?
Oh yeah.
The little, it looks like a lifted Pinto.
Oh yeah.
There's actually one on 443 between me and Lee Heighton. There's one that sits just off of 443 as you're heading out towards Lee Heighton on the right hand side. There's an Eagle sitting out there.
I only ever remember the wagon. I know they had others, but the wagon was what we saw up here in Vermont.
Yeah, I think that's well, was that a little short wagon, or was it a long wagon?
A 4-door long wagon.
We have the little short ones up here.
Ah.
But it's still a wagon. It's still a little hatchback design. You know, it's like a shortened wagon. Ooh, excuse me. But yeah, they were like Jason said, they were all-wheel drive, and geez, you could stop them. I'm surprised. It's like I've seen a few of them in my lifetime, but not a whole lot of them. But they're a pretty neat little car. You know, that whole typical 80s, you know, that little 80s little mini car phase that they had. I think they still kind of have the mini car phase. I think that's just when it started.
Didn't some of them have like wood paneling on the side?
Yeah, the one that is on my way to Lee Heighton is a dark blue with the wood paneling down the side.
Yeah,
and like I said, it's not much bigger than my Kia Soul, if not smaller than the Kia Soul.
Yeah,
it's a little tiny.
Ones that I remember were like the size of a Subaru Outback.
Yeah,
I mean, even sat up that high.
The smaller one that I'm talking about, probably about like 1.5 foot, 2 foot shorter than that.
Okay.
You know, it literally looked like a lifted Pinto. You know, about the same size as a Pinto. Just it was really awkward because it was this little tiny car and it had these little tiny wheels on it, but the body literally sat a good like half a foot. I mean, foot to 1.5 foot off the ground. One of those for sale locally near the Classic Ride Society. I actually like old school stuff. 70s, 80s, 60s, 50s. Doesn't really matter. If I can find something old, I enjoy it. Like I'm looking. I picked up 2 cedar chests last summer, and they're from the 50s and 60s. So they got that. The one is cedar colored, and the other one's that like off white, almost like if you smoked in a house for like 60 years and never painted the house, kind of off yellowy white. And yeah, that's gonna go. All right, see you later, Jason. But yeah, that's gonna get going. I'm gonna pull them out on the front porch. I'm not sure if you guys have seen my front porch. I might start doing some live streams from out on the front porch, but my front porch is a good like 15 feet deep by like 20, 25 feet long. So there's plenty of space on my front porch, and it's got another porch above it for the second floor. It's weird style of houses out here. They're all like very flat in the front, but they're just kind of like one house stacked on top of the other with huge front porches. But there's enough space out there. That's where I did the jewelry cabinet that I have on my Instagram. I literally did most of the work out on the front porch, which as soon as I ever finish that, I'll get the video posted up on the channel. But I like restoring old things, so I'll pull those out. I gotta replace both the legs both the legs on both chests, and I got to refinish them because they're all scratched up and stuff. The one I might just re-clear just and leave all the scratches as you know, just character. Shelby Daytona from the 80s. I think we were talking about that in the, or are we talking about no, that would have been the little hatchback Daytona.
Yeah, they did a Shelby Daytona back in the 80s, and then there was also what Grimm's Auto Service is saying is the Horizon was the GLH or the GLHS. Goes like hell, I think is what it stood for.
Okay.
And though I knew somebody that had one of those back in the day, and that car was just flew. It was amazing.
I don't think I've ever seen one of those.
Yeah, the Horizons or Omnis were about the size of,
I've heard of an Omni.
A rabbit. Yeah, it was, but it was just Carroll Shelby hyped up, and it was a fast little hatch.
The Omni would have been like the Chevette.
Same size, yeah.
Yeah, my mom.
Ones were turboed.
You know what my favorite Chevette of all time was? Do you ever hear the Hot Rod Magazine story where they stuffed the 8.2 liter Cadillac motor in the front of the Chevette?
Nope.
500 cubic inches, all motor. It was literally the motor, the turbo 400 trans, and then the rear axle. There was no drive shaft. The rear axle connected straight to the back of the transmission. The engine literally sat next to you. I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen a Cadillac 500 engine. They're massive.
Yep.
They're actually not much taller than a 350, but they're wide. You can stuff a Caddy motor in the frame rails of just about any Chevy, and it'll actually clear the hoods as well. You can stuff 500 cubic inches underneath of the hood of any classic Chevy. Because I had one for years, and they can make well over 1,000 horsepower on pump gas, with a few hop up parts.
Wow.
Yeah, obviously new heads, intake, built internals, but the block can make 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah, I actually saw what Hammerdown was saying about a 350 in the Chevette. I saw one at a car show, and that was shoehorned in there, but that would look really cool.
Just imagine another, 150 cubic inches. But actually, I'm wrong. It was they make a dependable 800 horsepower and 1,000 foot-pound of torque. It's just all torque, but they only rev up to like $6,000. If that. They make most of their power down low within like $2.5 to $4.5 grand is where they mainly make their power.
Mm-hmm.
350 Chevette. No, what did I say about a Caravan? 5-speed turbo Caravan. Anybody see the Caravan? The Dodge. Well, it wasn't like it was a Dodge, but there is a. What was it? It was a V8. There was a vehicle that had a V8 with a front transaxle V8, and they were taking that V8 transaxle and stuffing them in front wheel drive like vans and stuff.
I know Oldsmobile and Cadillac, had a 350 or something like that. It was the Tornadoes and the Eldorados were both front drive.
Yep, and in
I don't know if that's what it was.
The 500 cubic inch monster was a transaxle engine. Mm-hmm. I think it was the Eldorados. They did stuff these 8.2 liters in them. Because everything from the 525 all the way up to the 500, it was all the same block. So the 525, the 472, and the 500 all shared the same block. 454 front wheel drive. I bet that was scary. I'm not even freaking drinking much today. What time is it?
Oh,
10:02.
Well, Matt and them should be joining us here shortly, hopefully. Don't know if he's joining today or not. I'm hoping so. My friend Big E might be joining too. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Problem with the Cadillac 500 is the expensive deal. Not if you know where to look. There is a company called what the hell is it called? Maximum Torque Specialists. You can build the Caddy 500 for not much more than you can build a Pontiac 400. And they, like I said, they can get 800 horsepower out of a block. No problems. I had actually the heads built in mine. I built them in shop class, and with all the one bad thing about the Caddy motors where they had the T-pedestal rockers, which as soon as you bring them up to any decent RPM, the rockers would slide off the T-pedestals. Because they were only held in by little thin metal clips on the end. And obviously those clips would spread and the rockers would literally walk themselves right off the T-pedestal. So Maximum Torque Specialist, MTS, they have a one-piece rocker setup. With the roller rockers, all of that. And they have a one-piece setup kind of like the Dodges do. And literally you just bolt that down in place and each of the bolts go where the T-pedestals went. And they have a little nylon locker in the center that kept them from working. So I had them, I did the valves, I did the springs on those suckers. Literally you can take the springs and you could stand on that spring and it wouldn't move. It would not compress at all. And tell you what, putting those springs in those heads, even with an air-powered spring compressor, was a bitch. It was a pretty scary thing to do to try to get that spring compressed and then get the keepers in, because those springs still wanted to fight that spring compressor. You had to worry about it wanting to slip off the head of the not the keeper. You have the spring, the retainer, and then the keeper. So you had to make sure that you had the little forks that hold the retainer. You had to make sure that they were on really well, because if it didn't, those springs flew. It was like taking the freaking springs out of a strut. There's a lot of pressure in those ones. But yeah, I had the heads completely built. That was sitting in my storage unit when I lost the storage unit. Was that block? I was pissed. It was a 1972 8.3 liter. It is a beast. That was originally going to go in my Nova, and then I thought maybe I wanted to put it in the back end of an El Camino. Reverse mount the engine in the bed of the El Camino. Have the headers stick out put an old granny cap on it, a pap cap, and then have the headers stick out the slide windows on the side. And that way, when I went to the car shows, I could pop the pap cap off and the motor would be all sitting there all nice and cool. But, obviously driving down the road, you can't be like that. So I was just going to put the pap cap on it. And,
that would have been interesting to see. That's for sure.
It's still a concept, but I don't know if I'll ever get that. It would have been a freaking awesome concept. Because I wanted to build that motor because not everybody builds them. I like being different. It's just like my TA. Everybody tells me to pull the Caddy, the Pontiac motor out of it and throw an LS in it. Well, yeah, I can make 600 horsepower easy with an LS in it. But the thing is it's a Pontiac. Pontiac doesn't exist anymore. You know, I drove all the way down to Tennessee just to get that Pontiac motor because it was originally a 403 Olds car. And so I drove all the way down to Tennessee. I paid like $700 for the motor. It's built 30 over, shaved 3,000s off the heads, and it's got a Ram Air 3 grind cam in it. So the thing thumps. I can't wait to get a carburetor on it that can actually handle the CFM that motor wants. Because
what kind of horsepower?
I have no idea. It's not going to be. It's not. The thing is it's a 76 Pontiac 400. It's not going to make crazy horsepower. Those Pontiac engines weren't about crazy horsepower because I mean even the Bandit Trans Ams, they were only making like 280 horsepower. But they were making close to 500 foot-pounds in torque. That's where you got the tire shredding crazy, shit that those cars could do is because of the torque they were making. You do 400, 500 foot-pounds of torque with 411 rear gears. You're going to be tearing up some tires. They weren't never, high-end horsepower screamers. They were stoplight cars. They were show-off toys. They were designed to be able to get out of the corner quickly. Because that's what they did. They weren't like Chevy's goal is drag racing. You see that anywhere. Chevy's engines and Chevy's way they did their cars was mainly towards drag racing. So you have high horsepower, smaller engines, that could get down the track quickly. Whereas the Pontiac cars, they were about cornering and just raw power. So you take a high torquey motor with a lot of power, you're going to have fun at the stoplights, but the suspension on those cars could corner, whereas the Camaros couldn't.
Car Mod's garage is actually watching from an airplane, so I don't know if that trumps my.
I don't know. How does that work? Does airplane trump middle of the ocean on a?
Well, I think I win since I was on the feed. Like I wasn't just in the chat.
Well, see now if I send them a link to the chat, to the feed, that can trump you.
I guess I would. It depends on where he's at, though. If he's over the U.S., then it's still like I was in international waters.
You were not in country, but then again, if I get somebody like Jason's out of country.
Yeah.
Jason joined the stream all the way from Canada.
Well, that's connected to the U.S.
Oh, Canada. Okay, that's all you're getting out of me.
But I wanted to add to the discussion. My buddy has a Caddy, full air ride. It was like a shop build. It was their demo car. He's taking the 472, I believe, his original engine in it.
It's the that's the mid cubic inch of that.
Yeah, he just purchased from a wrecked. I think it was an SS Camaro, LS motor. He got everything: wiring, ECM, transmission, the dash, everything.
I have a correction to make for Steve. It is not a 71 Camaro. It is a 73 base model Camaro. You can definitely tell, though, that it is pre-76 because it's got the it doesn't have the wraparound rear glass, which I think came out in 70, 75, the wraparound glass. But yeah, I was just talking to him the other night because he's joined a couple of the F-Body forums on Facebook that I'm in now because of him getting that car. And obviously I'm joined in with all of them because of my Bandit car. Thank you, Car Mods, for the comment. Unless you're talking to someone else, which you could be talking to anybody in the chat. No, wraparound glass started in 75. The flat rear glass was up until 74. Which is how you can tell. A lot of people like to copy the early Formula Pontiac, the Formula Firebird front nose clips with those two massive snorkels that hung over the front nose. A lot of people like to throw them on the later gen Trans Ams. You can tell because a lot of them will have, you know, it has a wraparound rear glass. It's not a true early Formula. And a lot of people also like to do, like, I love the 77, 78 front nose. The 79 nose is growing on me, but I absolutely love the 77 and 78 nose. But I absolutely hate the taillights on them.
Now, which one's has the round headlights?
The round headlights on a Trans Am?
Yeah.
You're talking early TAs.
Because I seen one in my area. It was white with the blue bird, and it had a single hood scoop, like almost like a shaker hood scoop, and then the fenders kind of came out, and it had like round headlights.
Well, round headlights stopped in, I think, 76.
Okay, so it was like maybe early 70s.
Yeah, you got to look at the back glass. If the back glass is, like I said, only doesn't wrap around to the side of the B pillars and come down to that point, then it's a 70 to 74. If they come down around, then it's a 75 to 76.
Okay, yeah, I was driving past and it was backed into a driveway. So all I saw was the front. I knew it wasn't like it wasn't a first generation like Firebird.
But
So
if it's white,
yeah,
with a single blue stripe and a little bird all the way in the front, then that's like a 72.
Okay.
In 73 is when they started with the big bird. 73 and 74, they had multicolored big birds. They weren't as big as the later ones. They were decent size, but they weren't like the humongous hood birds that you saw in the 76, 77, 78.
Yeah, I knew it was white with light blue.
Right. Like I said, in 76 is when they started with the big bird on the hood, and that was only for the SE cars, which would be what people now know as the Bandit car. But in 76, it was the 50th anniversary car. And actually, here's a bit of history. Some people, if you're a Trans Am fan, you most likely know this. But the cars that were used in the 1977 Smokey and the Bandit, they weren't 77s. They were actually 1976 cars with the front nose of the whole front fenders, hood, and front fascia of the 77s. If you look at the interior is a 76. So they actually use 76 SE cars, which are rare as rare can be, and they trashed 3 of them. Not a single one of the actual screen used cars left that lot in one piece. There was only one car that there was a 4th car, but it was only a promotional, like, stick in front of the dealerships kind of car. It were used in the film, but it was owned by the production company for promotional purposes only. That's the only one that's left. There is rumor that the one that went through the mailbox on the side of the highway, that one has surfaced somewhere. But I'm pretty sure it's just it's a fake and just a rumor. But as far as I know, literally they were taking pieces off of all the cars to get the last shot. The last shot, they literally pushed the car onto the set. It didn't run and it didn't move under its own power. It was just sheerly for looks at that point because it didn't move. And that was after stealing parts off of the other wrecked cars that were used. In fact, not even all of them had actual Pontiac motors in it. One had the one that did the jump over the bridge. That one had a stock car motor in it. It didn't even have it was literally like a Cal Yarborough stock car engine.
Was it because the stock one wouldn't make enough horsepower?
Well, the stock one couldn't get up to speed fast enough.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's not that they don't make enough horsepower; they make a shit ton. But you got to remember the amount of the stock car engine is going to be lighter. You know, a Pontiac 400 is not a light engine, and obviously you need to be able to get that thing moving pretty quickly because I don't think they had a whole lot of run space to make that jump happen. And yeah, that car bent the frame on landing. That's why you don't see that car landing, because it fucked it up.
Basically any car that does that sort of thing is going to have a fucked up frame.
If you've ever seen the the Dodge Charger jumps that they do now, if you ever watched them when they don't land them in the hay bales, when they just literally launch them with no landing, which is what they did with the Trans Am, yeah, they just bend in half because it's not a full frame car; it's a front subframe. So the whole front frame of that car is held on with 4 body mounts underneath of the passenger, underneath of the floorboards in front of your seat. So there's no structure. There's no structure to take that kind of impact without it just ripping those body mount bolts right out of the floor of the chassis tub. On the radio, you sound taller. Bandit, do you ever take off that hat? Yes, for one thing and one thing only. I don't know if I have that line exactly correct, but yeah, that's the gist of it. I love that line. That is still, I think, one of my favorite movies of all time. It's getting harder and harder to find it not all cut up with the safe for TV version.
I found a copy of it at Walmart, and my wife gave it to me for Christmas.
Nope, jump, throw it out.
No,
it is not. It is not anything sold at Walmart. Is not the original soundtrack.
Well, at least it Buford T. Justice does swears in it.
Buford T. Justice does not swear like he does in the original in that copy because I have that copy. I'm sorry, but it is really, really, really funny sitting there watching the dubbed version of that of Buford T. Justice saying oh my, and the things that they have him saying are so freaking retarded because they make absolutely some bum.
Yeah,
some bum.
0 cents. 0 cents.
Hammer down. You got to get me a copy of the original version. I'm dying. I lost my copy 3 years ago when I lost about half of all of my shit. That person can pat themselves on the back because I'm sure they're watching.
Well, gentlemen, it's been real. It's been fun, but I got to head on out and get ready for bed.
All right, you're gonna have to let me know if you picked up any subs out of this.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Walmart is a bad word. Walmart is the epitome of bad words.
Yes, I do agree with that.
Knockers bouncing around as she was walking down the aisle. That's when he was describing the last time he saw Frog.
Yep. All right, guys. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm hoping Matt's gonna show up. I don't know. I doubt it because it's kind of late now. Normally he would be showed up by now.
Yeah, we're 20 minutes past their normal end time.
Yeah, normally Matt shows up. We might have a short stream tonight. I don't know, that last stream was pretty good, man. We were going at it, what, 12:40?
Yeah, I think it was 2.5 hours.
2 hours and 44 minutes.
Yeah.
Ass was wiggling. You know what? Favorite line out of an 80 favorite line out of a movie, and we can't use any. Well, not that I wouldn't want to see a bunch more Bandit quotes in here, but can't you got something other than Bandit? Or no, do you know what? Let's go with there is no best 80s car except for, you know, it would be the normal G bodies. I mean, I don't think there was a G body. You got the GNX, you got the Grand National, you got the Monte Carlo. You got the Monte Aero. Oh my God, I like the regular Monte, not the Monte. It's got to be a Monte SS because I'm sorry, I can't stand the regular Monte Carlos. They were absolutely hideous.
Yeah.
The soft top or vinyl top Montes, I hated them.
They're best used for low riders.
Well, and I don't like low riders, but there's some that are well done, but
yeah,
you know, and it's nothing against you and your truck. It's just I don't particularly care for them. I love the paint on them. The paint on low riders is absolutely wicked.
But
the other thing is,
works of art in their own. They're rolling works of art.
Where was the one? It wasn't even a low rider, was it? There was one that even like the frame was all engraved and everything was gold plated. What the hell? It was on YouTube a while back. I think it was a Japanese car though. I don't even think it was a freaking American car.
It might have been a low rider. I mean, I know when you get into
I think it was it might have been a Skyline.
Oh.
But
I didn't see that.
There wasn't a single part on this car that wasn't like engraved and plated.
Because I know the lowrider guys are big in the engraving.
Like there wasn't a spot on this car that didn't have some sort of metal etching or engraving. It was, I mean, geez, the amount of hours that had to have gone into that car. I mean, like I said, I may not like a car. It doesn't mean that I can't respect the work put into it.
Oh yeah.
And until you stick the wheels out like this, then I'm sorry, I don't care what you did. You just killed it.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand where that came from. It came from people low riding the car without adjusting the front A-arms, and just dropping the car down on the ground. But then again, the car didn't ride that way.
Yeah.
It had camber like that when parked and you drop the airbags.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember that was 90s. That was the 90s thing to do with, you know, but the car didn't drive down the street like that. You know, the car still, you lifted the car back up. Camber was the way it was supposed to be. You drove down the road. You got to your next part to the destination. You let the air out of the airbags or the air shocks. You dropped it down so the freaking frame was resting on the freaking ground. And yeah, the wheels had some pretty bad camber.
Yeah. I know a lot of the import trucks and like Ford Rangers, they get bad camber. My Blazer, if you look close, it does have a little bit of camber in it down, but not as bad as the imports and stuff.
Yeah, Hammerdown had it right. Not Hammerdown. Classic Ride Society it was a GTR in Japan.
Okay.
Because I watched that. It was on TV or something, or on YouTube or whatever, and I watched the whole thing. Like I said, I can respect a car. It doesn't mean I necessarily have to enjoy, you know, that style car. If I can't go fast in it, I can't freaking beat the snot out of it. It's not much fun to me. You know, it's just, you know, it looks cool. It is a piece of artwork, but that's I like to enjoy my cars, not look at them, which I'm not doing. I have no room to talk right now because all of my cars are just yard art at the moment.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I'll get there eventually. We're working on it. Like I said, the truck is, I got to get the Trans Am out of the garage. The truck is going in. I am going to fix that damn transmission if it kills me. Which it might, because I don't have Chevy anymore to freaking help me get that transmission out of that truck. He pulled that transmission out of that truck by himself more than once.
Yeah.
Me pulling that transmission out of that truck by myself, I'm definitely going to go get myself a transmission jack.
I mean, if you need a hand, if you give me warning, I wouldn't mind having to help you.
Normally, most of the time I work during the week, during the day.
Yeah,
because I have my kids on the weekend, so I don't normally go up to the shop on the weekends. and I have one day off during the week, and that's normally the day I'll go up and go work on the cars because Jess is at work and I'm home, so I normally will go up and go work on the cars while she's at work.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's right. They engraved the body itself. That's what I was talking about. Which, you know, that I think was the first one to be done that to that extreme. I'm not saying the first one ever have the, you know, engraving done on the frame and the body and everything else, but I think that was the first one where there wasn't a spot on that car that wasn't engraved, and it was it was swirls and all kinds of. I mean, you have to look it up.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me. You ever see the? I forget what type of car it was, but I think it was early 2000s. It might have been the newer GTR with the Sharpie art all over it. A guy drew.
Yep. He painted his whole car white, and then had like everybody he knew got to be able to come up and draw something on the car, and then he clear coated it. Yeah, I do remember that. That was pretty epic. And the thing is, it's so fucking simple. It's so simple, but at the same time, it is super epic.
Yeah,
you know, because everybody had everybody, you know, there was a piece of everybody in that car.
Yeah.
We didn't get very far past the best cars of the 80s. I think that's a very short list. Now, I mean, you know, like the 80s Firebirds and Camaros. Obviously, I'm a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of the 80s Firebirds. The GTA, yeah, it was a nice looking car, but I'm not a fan of that body style. But you give me an 80s Camaro, I absolutely love the third gen Camaro. More of a fan of the late 80s and the early 80s, but I love, especially like the IROC. The IROC is definitely one of my favorites. Hammerdown just actually had another good one. There is an LS swapped DeLorean.
Yeah.
You've seen that.
I was actually going to make a point to that. If you took away all the quote unquote muscle cars of the 80s.
Well, the thing is if you had what the DeLorean was originally, what his original vision was for the DeLorean.
Yeah.
And not what basically he got stuck with, because DeLorean got screwed. You know, he got framed, he got set up, he got screwed, and that car, that people did not want that car to be what he wanted it to be, because it would have been a sports car killer for a lot of the manufacturers. And it's the same thing. But the thing is that that's been DeLorean's life through his whole career, because perfect example, the Firebird and the Trans Am. That was supposed to be on the Corvette chassis. That's what he designed that car to be on. GM said, no, screw you. We don't want you making anything to compete with the Corvette. Here, you can have the F-body line.
Yeah.
You can the platform with the Camaro, have fun with it. Well, guess what? By 1979, he was eating Corvettes for breakfast. Because the 1979 Trans Am completely spanked the Corvette. And geez, if you go into the fourth generation TA, in my opinion, was better than the Corvettes that were out in that time period as well. So, you know, it's just DeLorean got screwed because GM did not want them competing with the Chevrolet brand. Yep. So, you know, they were constantly keeping him, I would say, reined in.
Yeah.
And then when he went to go do his own things, you know, obviously the other car manufacturers, we know how all that shit goes on behind the scenes. If you ever seen, like the original plans for the DeLorean and the original plans for the DeLorean and their concept designs for the interiors and the engines and stuff that were supposed to go in those cars, it would have been a nice little sports car. And yes, I would have to agree with you. I definitely the C7 Corvette, although absolutely stunning looking, is way too heavy.
Yeah.
If I remember Mike saying at one point when he was rattling off issues, because he has that same issue with he mentioned it a few times, that the Corvette's just too damn heavy. Yeah, it's making great time. Yes, it's doing great on the track. but it's a freaking heavy car. It is what, the heaviest Corvette ever. And yeah, but the Z01's not light either. But it's nowhere near as heavy as the Corvette from what I remember. And it's the I think it's the 1LE that beat the C7 on like NERV, I think, right? If I'm not right, somebody correct me.
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it was the 1LE that beat the Corvette on NERV. So did they ever run the ZR1 on Nürburgring? Because that would be that'd be a nasty car to see on Nürburgring. Though I'm sorry, you're not going to be in my eyes, regardless of what it says on the track, you're not going to beat a Viper GTSR on Nürburgring. It's just one of the coolest cars to watch go around Nürburgring. Oh, I wish I could put music in the background. It is absolutely deathly quiet in here, and it is so unnerving to have a podcast where it is super freaking quiet. I mean, I know there's people talking in the chat, and I know there's you here, but it is so unnerving to have a podcast and it be this deathly quiet.
You usually got your girlfriend harassing you.
Well, yeah, but she wasn't having a good day today. So she's either doing homework or might actually probably be asleep already, because she had a long day today. CL1 killed McLaren's on the ring. What do you guys think about the new, what is it, the 600 LT McLaren?
I'm not really in the McLaren games, so I don't know. The only new thing as far as supercars goes that I've seen is that I don't even know what it's called, but it's an all-electric supercar. Starts with a P.
You lost me. You lost me at electric.
I know, but it's amazing. 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds.
I don't care. It's electric. It's a go.
Boogie woogie woogie.
It's a golf cart. It's a gas-powered engines.
We'll all be cruising in electric cars soon enough.
I know. I will fight it to my death.
Tesla's coming out with an electric pickup truck.
Actually, I stand corrected. That shot was not just to gas-powered engines, to large displacement V8 engines.
Yeah. That are dwindling in numbers.
Well, yes and no. Manufacturers are still putting up a fight, though. I mean, they're still making.
I went to my local Ford dealership to check out the new F-150s on the line, and every single one was an EcoBoost, either a 2.5 or a 2.7 or 3.5. You can't even get a 5.0 anymore.
But that's a Ford, and a 5.0. A 5.0 is never a big engine to begin with. It's only a 302.
Yes, but there's no V8 option.
Well, then just don't get a Ford. There you go. That just says it all. You don't get a Ford. Go get yourself a. You know what? Actually, I'm not sure. Steve, is your Ram? Is it a V8 or a V6? Because me and one of my coworkers were talking about that. He has I think a 2017 Ram with the V6 in it, and it can only tow like 4,400 pounds.
Really?
Yeah, 4,400, 4,500 pounds towing rate with the V6.
My EcoBoost pulls 11,000.
Yeah, okay, so he does have the V8. That's the 5.7 Hemi, though, isn't it? But Yeah, he said that the V8, the Hemi pulls like a 10 grand. I know mine. Yeah, maybe it's 12. Mine pulls my 1500. I think it's max is 8 with the 360. And I don't think it's necessarily powertrain that is holding that pulling power down. It's stopping it. It's rear drums, front discs. Now I've upgraded the rear drums. They're not stock anymore. The rear drums on mine, there's a mod out there for Dodges where you take the 2500 Chevy wheel cylinders and you mod them to fit the rear drums on the Dodges, and it definitely increases the stopping power of those trucks.
Steve, we're not talking about diesels. They'll pull down houses.
Exactly. Now, Steve, I don't know if your V10 Ram, if it's got the rear drums in it or not. But that's a mod you might want to look into if you haven't done it already. Is the 2500 wheel cylinders if you got the rear discs? I mean the rear drums.
And honestly, when I was shopping for a truck, I wanted to get a Silverado, but I've seen too many cases of the beds rotting out on them things. I just couldn't bring myself to get one.
It doesn't matter what truck you have, the beds rot. Now, like I said, mine's got 265,000 miles on it. I can tell that this truck was, for the majority of its lifetime, if not all of its lifetime, was kept indoors.
Yeah.
The truck is just too nice all the way around for it to have not been somebody's baby.
Yeah.
It's fully loaded. It's got the freaking heated mirrors. I mean, if you don't buy a truck that loaded and not be some rich dude with a fucking garage that you keep it in. It probably was towing trailers and shit. Because just the way it's 265,000 miles. The dude was doing long distance runs. And for it to look as nice as it did and have the interior that it does in it, somebody took care of it. But even mine, the front two corners of the bed, right up behind the cab, both front corners are starting to rot. But I mean, the rest of the bed is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I blame the freaking plastic liner.
Yeah.
As soon as I got my green truck, I pulled out the plastic liner. I threw in a rubber mat. Now, the brown truck that I have had a rubber mat and a plastic liner. So it had the plastic liner and then it had a rubber mat in the bottom of the plastic liner, which I got rid of that rubber liner, and I had a diamond plated one that I had in my green truck, and I swapped that over because I like the diamond plated one better. A camper dealer. He didn't tell me whether or not he did that mod with the brakes, though.
We went and looked at a couple of houses, open houses today, and the one house I walked into the garage, and there was a Shelby Cobra cover in the garage.
Oh wait, a what?
A Shelby Cobra.
The whole car.
Yes. Like mint.
Was it a kit car or was it a metal body car?
I don't know. He had one of the California car covers on the thing, and it actually was embroidered with his name. It said 67 Shelby Cobra on it.
See, now Steve's truck had a hell of a lot less miles. I had 100,000 miles on his truck. Because when I bought my truck, it had 243,000 miles on it. I paid 20 in total with tax tags and everything. I walked out the door with 2,900. And I definitely, I knew that they had a lot of miles on it. The transmission was a Jasper Reman at 150,000 miles. It was put in. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I did that bad. I mean, the only reason is it's sad is because of my fault, not the truck. I mean, for 265,000 miles, the truck's in pretty good shape. Now, granted, he beat me with the deal. Oh, trans was broke. Yeah, you can pick up a Dodge Ram 1500 for or 2500 for next to nothing with a broken trans because nobody wants to deal with them. Which is really, a lot of them aren't that hard. A lot of them are either either the seal went and or the check valve in the tranny lines go, and it causes them to burn up the clutches, or it's the electronics in the transmissions goes, the governors, which those are really easy to replace. You mean you got to drop the valve body, but you pull the pan, pull the valve body out, and all of the electronics are right there. You just replace all the electronics and you replace all of the solenoids, throw it back up, and normally it's good to go. Okay, so he had his completely rebuilt. Oh, the case was broken. Damn, what the hell did they do to it?
The case was broken.
A shock load. Oh, okay. Oh, Steve sent me a photo. I don't know how long ago you sent this photo. Yeah, but I don't know what you're saying. Doesn't tell me how many. I don't know. Thanks, Steve, for the photo. I'm not exactly sure what all you were showing me, except for the fact that they were still live. How many people we got in here? Is it just me, you, and Steve now? Or is Grim might still be there? I have six. I have 6 watching right now on my screen.
Yeah.
Mine was 14. All right, we still got burning rubber garages in here. I'm running out of steam. Oh.
Yeah, me too.
So, I guess I can give an update on what I'm doing with my channel. Like I said, right now I took the money that got dumped into my account from YouTube for the last 2 months, and I went out and picked up I went and picked up the fluid pump for the Ram, so I'm going to be pulling that back out and putting the new fluid pump in. I think I want to replace the braided lines that are on it, because it has braided AN lines from the transmission up to the aftermarket transcooler. It's got an aftermarket transcooler in front of the radiator, so they already bypassed the stock one when I got it. And so I want to replace those lines because the one had a kink in it at one point. So I want to replace them, but I don't know where to replace them at. I don't know if I have to get them remade or if it's something that I can just buy. I'm guessing I'm going to have them remade, you know, at a like a line shop somewhere. But there's that, and the other thing I'm looking into, which I'm going to have to talk to Steve about. He said that I'm not sure if you know who Westy is. If you watch Steve's channel.
Yeah.
Steve told me that Westy does carburetors.
Yes, he said that last week, I believe.
I want to talk to him and see. I got to find out how much it's going to cost me, because I'm looking at $450 to send it to the guy that I know out in California. Now, granted, the guy out in California, it'll come looking like a brand new freaking car, been flow bench tested, you know, for what the stats are for my engine. Obviously, I don't think that Westy has a flow bench, but I'm not saying that he doesn't know how to tune a carb either. I have no clue how to tune a carb. I know I can rebuild one, but I don't know how to tune one. But I also don't have the proper tools to rebuild this one the way it needs, because like the bottom butterflies, bushings are shot. So they're going to need to be drilled out and put oversized bushings in it. You know, I don't have a drill press to be able to do that right without having to worry about it being like off center. And you know, and I don't want to fuck up that carb, because Pontiac carbs are not like a dime a dozen, especially not Pontiac 400 Trans Am carbs. They're quite expensive. For me to get a remanufactured one for my car, I'm looking at the cost of like a new Holly. You know, so. Well, and yeah, I agree with that. That's the reason why I wanted to talk to you. But like I said, its price is what I'm having an issue with. Obviously, living on child support. Well, not living on child support, living with child support coming out of my paycheck. I don't have a whole shit ton of cash. So if I can find ways to get things done at a lower cost, obviously my projects will move a lot faster, because I'm not making enough money off of YouTube to do like all of these big moves. I posted on Instagram a couple days ago. I posted on Instagram. I said the most frustrating thing about being a creator, you know, is not having the funds to do what you're seeing your fellow creators do.
Yeah.
If I had money to throw at projects, I'd have a lot more stuff to do. The problem is it's hard making content when you don't have the funds to throw at parts. And so I do a lot of the things that I can do without. I make my own freaking seats for my Trans Am. Why? Because I can't afford $900 for new seat covers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trans Am seat covers are $900 just for the front two. Not even the rear bench. So yeah, I mean, and technically mine need new foam. I mean, the foam's not too bad on mine. I can actually pull them out. I have them. Yeah, they're in my hallway closet. And actually all of the seat parts are in my kid's bedroom, because I had nowhere to put them. Hey, stupid fast here. Stupid fast. If you click the link in the chat, which I think you're still in, you can come join us up on the screen if you want, or you can just hang out in the chat. Doesn't matter to me. He's a local boy. He lives, I think, up in Coaldale, one town up. I have to agree with Steve. He said some of the content that he made makes good views. My biggest, highest video, which is the Dodge Ram coolant heater core, right? That video gets me, in the last 28 days, it's got 21,000 views. Just in the last 28 days. That video alone, it's got 2,100 views, 2,100 minutes watched, 5,000 views, and has made me $20 all on its own just in the last month. And this is the time of the year where it doesn't do very well. Because obviously it's getting warmer now. Nobody really cares about the heater core when it's warm. At its peak, which is normally around December. No, it is November. November is normally its peak. It made 13,000 views in December. That cost me $35. Because the heater core was like 35 bucks. This video has more than paid for that heater core. My one that's actually doing better than that video right now is my door spring hack. Literally, you compress the spring with a vise or like a big C clamp and zip tie it shut to be able to put it back into the GM door hinge if you don't have the fancy tool. Now, I know the fancy tool only costs $10, but when you're balling on a budget and, you know, zip ties cost 10 cents, and if you only have to put it in once, why are you going to go out and go buy a $10 tool that you're only going to use once?
Yep.
That video alone cost me absolutely nothing because I already had the zip ties. And that video this month alone is no. That has 5,000 views this month. 5,000 views, and literally, I think it took me 10 minutes to film, maybe a half hour, 40 minutes to edit, and cost me literally nothing. So yeah, but I mean, you still doesn't mean that you don't want to make progress on, you know, your project vehicles. And unfortunately, project vehicles cost money. Now, a lot of the stuff that I do, like I said, is I work with what I got. So, I mean, yes, I went out and put all brand new bushings in my TA, but literally I bought that kit for like $60. That's the complete bushing kit from Energy Suspension. I'm not sure if you've ever had to buy a complete kit from them, the polyurethane bushing kits. They're like $300. I found one on eBay for like $60. The body mount bushings alone by themselves are like $90.
Wow.
And I found the whole kit. So all of the A-arm bushings, the tie rod bushings, the rear leaf spring bushings and spring perch pads, all of it's there. Transmission mount, it's all there. $60. But yeah, I mean, I work with what I got. Ooh, excuse me. And that's the same thing. That's what I do with my Nova the whole time I had it. It was, you know, you deal with what you got. That Nova, the second Nova that I have, the gray one, I found it online for $600 and some. I got another shop that wanted the front fenders and the doors off of it. I got them to go out and go pick it up and buy it. I paid them $250 for everything that was left. And I made my money back in selling like the deck lid and different things that were on it that I didn't need. I would have made more money on it if that company hadn't also stolen a bunch of shit off of that car that they didn't ask for. But yeah,
they're all liars.
I'm hoping Michael Green is not a troll. We'll find out here. Because that absolutely. Okay, what's that have to do with what we're talking about here? I have to agree with Burning Rubber. The Street Speeds, whatever he calls it, Taser, is definitely cooler than the 720. 720 is a nice, cool vehicle to own, but it's not something that I enjoy the content on. It is cool looking. It is probably a freaking badass car, but it's not something that I enjoy watching when he makes content.
And see, I think that's a lot of why I like Cletus McFarland, because like they're just like neighbor and like they're practical cars.
To a point. They start out as budget-minded builds until the shit breaks and they keep replacing. But then again, that's like any other normal project car. You know, you start out with freaking stupid shit. You start out with a fucking junkyard motor. You start out with a $500 car you bought it off of freaking Facebook Marketplace. You know, and then you know, you keep, whenever something breaks, you put something better in it. But most of the time, as stuff breaks, you know, just like his projects become his project vehicles as they go. Normally, as the stuff breaks, you know, if you're a YouTuber, most of the time your channel is getting bigger.
Yeah.
You know, and so you're able, like, you know, like it's just a 6. You know, he started out with a 370Z or a 350Z.
Yeah.
You know, and he moved his way up as his projects got bigger. I mean, even his, if you watch his channel, even his S10 pickup truck that he picked up, you know, it started out, yeah, you know, it started out as, you know, kind of budget minded. It had a built engine in it, but it wasn't something that he built.
Yeah.
And as it broke, he upgraded it.
Yep.
You
Did
know,
you see not, I don't know if it's the newest one, but it's a recent one where he was one of the guys that's like in his camp has a Challenger. It's nothing crazy, but they were out street racing, and that truck actually blew the doors off a Challenger without even using
oh my God,
electricity.
it wasn't a high end Challenger. It was just a base. It was just like a base model. But okay. Anyway, so it was just a base model, but yeah, he definitely made that Challenger look like it was standing still.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely one of the ones that I enjoy watching of the bigger channels. I still say that my favorite one to watch out of the really big channels right now is Goon Squad. And thank you, Steve. But I mean, like they're actually bigger than Steve than Mike right now.
Mm-hmm.
They have yeah, my phone's full of stats. I have like 6 different freaking YouTube apps on my channel. I mean, on my phone for different stuff. Goon Squad is sitting at 952,000, and Mike is sitting at 871.
Yeah.
Those boys are freaking. They're killing it. And the thing is they don't act like they're some giant ass super huge channel. You know, they act like they only have like 100,000 subs. I enjoy smaller channels. I enjoy bigger channels. They all have their different benefits. I mean, obviously the smaller channels are going to be more down to earth, but the problem is also with being a smaller channel, unless you already have money, you know, obviously the bigger channels can do bigger things. It's when the bigger channels still act like they're a small channel that it's really nice. I don't watch vehicle virgins. I don't watch. Mike posts almost every day, except for when he's not in town. Yeah, stupid fast. Steve is definitely a local boy, but he's actually from Canada. So he's got the best of both worlds. He gets to be here. He gets to be hanging out with us here in PA, but our winters are probably mild compared to where he's from.
I don't know. He was saying he's done with the snow for the year. He's ready for car shows and stuff.
What Hammerdown was?
Yeah, he's in his one video. He handed over to the snowmobile, and he's like, "Well, I think we're done with this for the year. At least I hope we are."
Yeah, I agree. And Big E's in the. Yeah, like my friend Big E, Big E is a lovely bunch of coconuts. Yeah, he's the one that was joining last week at the end.
Yeah.
But his YouTube channel is a lovely bunch of coconuts, which is funny. But yeah, the thing is I don't watch a lot of those big channels because the problem is with a lot of those like vehicle virgins and stuff like them is I'm not a fan of money. I mean I love money. Just don't get me wrong. I love money. But the problem I have is I don't like people that I don't enjoy people that come from money or have allowed money to influence the way that they live. Yes, people like Mike They have the fancy cars. But if you've ever talked to Mike, Mike doesn't act like he's got, you know, the kind of money to buy the McLaren that he's got. You know, he still acts like the guy that you know, bought, you know, a square body Chevy. You know what I mean? You know, like Hammerdown, like Nick. Nick still has a day job or night job or slave to his job kind of job. Yeah. Anyway, so you know, they still act, you know, they still act like they're down to earth. The problem with somebody like Vehicle Virgins or Salamandron or all of them is they act like they got money. You know, and it's a turnoff for me. I don't enjoy watching that. I don't want to watch somebody that's literally just walking around flaunting the money that they have.
Yeah.
Is number one, I'm hurting for cash. You know, I mean, obviously that's there's no doubt about it. I hurt for cash, and so to see somebody else flaunt it around like it's nothing, it doesn't make me feel good. Yeah, I mean, like B for Build and Goon Squad, yeah, they're out buying big supercars, but look at how B is for Build was building his supercar. He wasn't building it like, oh wait, I got all this freaking free cash to just throw at it to freaking buy all the best parts. You know what I mean? They were fixing what they could with what they got. Goose Squad, did you constantly hear them? You know, I don't, you know, we bought this fender used. Yeah, it's got a little bit of damage because, you know, we're not going to go out and go buy a brand new, you know, perfectly mint freaking OEM panel. You know, and it's just the mentality is behind it, I guess is what it is. You know, it's the attitude behind the channel that turns me off for those bigger channels. Now I watch TJ Hunt here and there. Do I watch him religiously? No, but I like his Nissan that he's got. I do love the RX-7. I've always liked those RX-7s. You know, and the different things. And yeah, I was interested in the Ferrari build because I've never seen one of them apart. So yeah, it's kind of interesting watching somebody take one of those that is all taken apart and whatever, because it's not something that I can get my hands on and go play with.
Yeah.
I'm living vicariously through them playing with it. I don't care to watch a bunch of people drive expensive cars around, you know, and make a shit ton of noise. I was enjoying watching their channel because I like seeing how those cars work.
Yeah.
It's not something every day you get to see somebody completely disassemble a Ferrari, you know, or a Lambo or a Dodge Viper GTA, you know, the TA edition that the Goon Squad did. You don't get to see that all the time. So when, you know, you get a channel that does it, Family Cruising, when he got the Red Viper right before his channel went down, it was kind of cool to see what one of those cars looked like, you know, that's 10, 15 years old, because he was tearing apart into it. You know, he had the valve covers off of it and all kinds of stuff. You know, yeah, you get to see the ones that are all pristine and new and all of that stuff, but it was nice seeing, you know, like his Viper that's been used, you know, and, you know, it's just not something you get to see all the time. So it depends on what it is. Says Mike from money. I didn't think Mike came from money. From what I remember Mike saying, unless he's not being honest, is that it was basically him and his mom, and they didn't have a whole shit ton of money. I mean, I guess depends on what your version of comes from money. You know, for me, I'm talking about like kids that never went without at all. You know, to where they don't respect, you know, the value of money. You know, and that's what I'm considering. I'm not talking necessarily somebody that comes from middle class. I'm talking the people, you know, the people come from the elite, you know, that come from money. Night, Steve. I don't actually watch the Dude in Blue either. I don't have a whole lot of people that I actually watch because normally I don't have actually the time. Most of the people that I watch are, like I watch It's Just a Six. I watch every video that pops out. I do watch Mike's videos. I tend to skip the ones that are boring. Any of the ones with the taser or that he does with Steve, I tend to watch. Nick, I definitely watch his channel. Steve, I watch his. Obviously, other Steve, Hammer Down, I watch his. I watch Pete. Though as much as I love Pete's channel, there are some, like, I don't necessarily watch the car video, the car show videos he puts out. Not because I don't like car show videos. It's just I have so many channels that I'm watching right now, and a lot of them aren't actually even big channels. They're car restoration channels, which don't get a whole lot of views. They don't get a whole lot of subscriber base. But the content they put out is more closely to what I want to learn. Joey66, Old Car Auto Guy, Straight Six Fan, Stupid Fast, I watch yours if you're still in here. Yeah, I'm just going through the ones that I have here. Goon Squad. Yeah, and I think that's about one of the bigger ones. B is for Build. I've been watching a lot lately. I enjoyed the GTR that he just did. Prostitute Lamborghini video. I don't know that one. Steve, I definitely can see where you're coming from with that because Mike is he's a salesman. I mean, that's what he is. I mean, he comes from money marketing. So, but I don't, and I enjoy some of the videos that he puts out. Personally, I like watching Send It Steve videos more than I like watching Mike's videos. I watched a lot of slow restorations recently. Have you watched his channel?
No.
He's the one with the S10s, the S10 Extremes.
I didn't even. I'll have to look him up.
Yeah, he's a local boy here too. He's right now building a S10 Extreme with I think an LT. Yeah, I think he's got an LT or LT or LS V8 in it.
Okay.
He's also got a Krypton green SS Camaro. He's got a nice little channel. He's the one that does Send It Steve's hoodies.
Okay.
The orange. He's the one that makes those. He's one of Send It Steve's buddies. That's how I found him. Was Send It Steve actually went to his shop, and they were working on a first gen Camaro. It's not his main project. It was his buddy's car, and then I started watching him for the S10 project.
Gotcha.
Oh. It's totally worth the 9 minutes. I bet. Oh, I think I'm gonna. What time is it?
11-ish.
I think I'm gonna start ending the stream. If you guys hadn't hit the like button yet, I know that there's a few stragglers in here. If you haven't hit the like button yet, please do. And we're gonna peace out and see you guys next week. Don't forget that I have a Teespring store if you want to help support the channel. Obviously, this is one of them right here. I have a whole bunch of designs. I also have, if you're into the Novas, I also have a whole line devoted to fourth generation Nova gear as well. So, all right, peace out. See you guys later. If you guys check out each other's channels. All right, see you next week.